So some of the Go Open Michigan feature, what I would say would be featured hubs or collections that just to kind of get those thinking juices going for other folks. You can see some of that. So the Future Proud Michigan Educator, this is an initiative. We have some legislation around grow your own and trying to get those folks that may be interested in teaching, they may be in education, but they don't have their teaching certification yet. Future Proud Michigan Educator is a Michigan Department of Education initiative, and they didn't know where to land. They had all this, they had curriculum, they had ideas that they were sharing with districts, and they just didn't know the best place to put it. And our website can be a little hard to find things once in a while. So I saw the Future Proud Michigan Educator stuff on like the news one night, and I went, hey. Next day I get into work and I call the gal and I said, do you need a place for this? I have this really great idea if you could make it OER. And so that was a learning opportunity that we took advantage of. They have a collection. So now they have a place to live and share and, go from there. We have our Michigan textbook collection. We had a big grant, wrote all these social studies textbooks for K-12 and made them OER. They're all openly licensed. We share them far and wide, and make them your own because we love to share. We have our computational thinking. So many words in my head. Our computational thinking, we've started to do some work around computational thinking and how we can introduce those premises into like the K-5 area. I don't know if any of you have ever tried to approach a K-5 educator and say, would you like to integrate computer science in your class? And you got the look of death. I've seen it. And they're like, not one more thing, please. Things are hard enough. So we're looking and doing some research around, is computational thinking a better way to integrate those computer science-ish initiatives into the K-5 curriculum in ELA, math, science, music, anywhere we can. So that's one of our newer initiatives that we're kind of making those collections around. So I know Yvette has some pretty awesome collections too. We talk a lot about.
Yes, definitely. And one is a featured hub is our ESOL hub. And this is supported, facilitated. She lives on this hub. She's on the webinar this evening. That's Dr. Sally Camacho. She's our bilingual education director, but I call her Dr. Sally. She has been helping to carry out the work of this microsite as a whole, helping to build it. And she does so primarily through the ESOL hub. It's a fabulous hub. Of course, everything is wide open, so you can go in and take a look at it. But Dr. Sally has provided resources for teachers who have English learners in their classes. And notice I say teachers who have English learners in their classes, because her resources are for all teachers, not just ESL teachers. She has provided the law that supports, that was recently passed in the Virgin Islands for ESOL. She has provided the information from USDE around English learners. She's provided information for parents, what's it called? Her resources include letters. It includes pictures of what's happening actually in some of these classes. There's a policy and procedures manual, and then you get to the resources. There are even webinars that were done that involve the content area teachers that we work with another vendor, another set of critical friends, the REL, and those are available on this hub as well. And so when you go through it, it's so alive, it's so vibrant, it is so open and so current that it's amazing, and she just keeps it going. The other hub that I really just want to talk about quickly is the Hub for Virgin Islands History and Culture. Our state director for cultural education, she started this hub and keeps it going as well. Here's where we have a variety of resources that focus on Virgin Islands history and culture. And the idea here is to continue to celebrate that history and that culture throughout all classes. She also has a Callaloo framework. The Callaloo framework focuses on the standards for the Virgin Islands standards for cultural standards, and that is in her hub as well. It's also in our core curriculum hub. And so the idea here is to celebrate the Virgin Islands culture, definitely recognize it, celebrate it, continue that going, and also to instill it in our students so that they can continue it on while at the same time showing that tolerance for other cultures as well. And so those two hubs are continuing to grow, and by their growth, they're growing the site as a whole. And we have some others that are coming on board. And so we're looking forward to that. Of course, Gina being my go-to, I share everything with her firsthand. We talk about what's coming. She shares her ideas. If I need anything like that, Gina provides it. It's amazing. And so that's how we continue this peer mentoring through open educational resources. The next slide.
Sure.
Okay, so we've been wanting to definitely recognize some of the others who've been on our journey. Gina indicated that a little earlier on, but and I mentioned CCSSO as that starting point. And that first meeting at CCSSO, where I was introduced to open educational resources, I was then led to Sarah Trenton, who was in the Department of Education, and Amy shared that background initially. And then Sarah turned me over to Sean Nash and Jeanette Westfall, and they're from Liberty. I think it's a Liberty Education, state education. They are phenomenal. Then I met Amy. And I remember when I brought Jeanette to a session for VIDE to bring our educators to the table to hear more about open educational resources. One of our coordinators who's on right now, Ms. Krosky, she sent me a text and said, "Oh, Dr. McMahon-Arnold, that session was delicious." That's how she described it. And so we are continuing to hopefully stir the pot, and we've done so to the work with Amy and ISME as a whole. ISME has been phenomenal. ISME did not help us build a product and walk away. And that's one of the things I share with anyone who asks about open educational resources and about our microsite. Because ISME has stayed with us, continues to do so. It's a matter of hours before we get a response to anything. Sometimes it's right away, but ISME has supported us to professional development, to building out the site, to ongoing webinars of this nature and so forth. We're very thankful for that. We've also had some support from Barbara Soot in Washington and Vanessa Clark. Gina telling me where Vanessa is from again.
Oregon.
She's in Oregon.
Oregon. Okay, that's right. That's Oregon. And then it's Gina and Yvette as we continue to support each other. But I also want to just recognize those colleagues of mine who are here. We have a team from our 3CC. They're supported by U.S. Department of Education and a comprehensive center. They are supportive in every which way. And they were there with me along the way, every step of the way, as I built out the microsite with ISME. Weekly meetings, they were there, and they continue to be there to support. They're on here tonight, and I just want to recognize those colleagues of mine from R3CC. And Dr. Sally and Miss Krosky, my go-to. Gina knows them now. She definitely knows Dr. Sally, because sometimes I get something from Gina and it is so delicious that I say, Dr. Sally, look what I just got. And I share it with her. And in 2 minutes, Dr. Sally is running with it. It's on the microsite, it's on her hub, and she's talking about it and so forth. And so what we do, the work that we do here, Gina and me, as we continue to build out our sites, we're actually building each other, helping to build and support each other through a friendship. It's a professional friendship, but it's also become a personal one as well. And if you don't mind, Gina, I will just share with the group here that our friendship has strengthened through this interaction, through the microsite, through our understanding and our love, our growing love for open educational resources, that Gina came through St. Thomas, the sister island, on a cruise back in October. And I flew to St. Thomas that day, worked on St. Thomas actually, and just so that I could see her and spend some time with her. And that's important. That was important to help to build our relationship. Definitely that love right there, okay? And so and as much as it rained that day, it didn't matter. We went out in the rain so we could meet each other, and that's important. And then Gina has shared that on her cell phone, her screensaver is actually a picture of the St. Thomas Harbor as she was pulling out. And so we keep, the work keeps us going, but the work has also created an opportunity for us to grow personally, professionally. If we are not able to meet on a Friday, we meet every second Friday. And if we're not able to meet on a Friday, we cannot go till the next 2 Fridays. We have to meet the following week, another weekday, because that's how we support each other.